So our lesson after looking at core principle 4 introduced us to core principle 5, and that is that economic systems that people create influence our lives like you just don't know. They influence our choices, our incentives, our behaviors, how we grow up, and the system that we grow up in affects everything about our lives. And to start this off, we had this reading from a book called Facing the Lion, and you did chapter 2. It was about Joseph Lecutan. He's the author, and he's describing his life in the Maasai. And you were to go through and, as it said right here on the sheet, just highlight different customs or traditions you came across. And so you were starting to look at this traditional or tradition-based economic system. That was the first one we looked at. Very simple system. These are hunting and gathering societies, right? So in class we had a skit, and I had a variety of people go to war with that lion. We had some very entertaining lion hunts, and the lion lost every time. And of course we had some very interesting moments where lions were just jumping from everywhere. They just couldn't stop. So all in fun, but you then came back later when I was sick, and you guys had a continuing lesson, which you can always look at that video again too. No need for me to go over all that again right now, where you went further into learning about the traditional economy. So I would just look at that video as well, because it goes over sort of the reading that you did and then your boxes. But remember, students, a lot of this year is going to be on you to make sure that you're doing the learning. Just some important things to probably remember. The important takeaway from looking at the traditional economy. We can go down there here to that reading you guys had. I think the most important thing to remember is they base everything that they do on the habits and customs of those people, the decisions they make. Remember, the Maasai have a council of elders. They decide they're not going to move, okay? The council of elders is that tradition they have in their society. And so there are traditional societies all throughout the world today. Yeah, they seem primitive to us, because they are. But at the same time, they are a society, and this is also their economic system. That the choices they make, that's core principle 1, on how they use those limited resources, all comes down to customs, traditions of the past. You had to look at some different examples. Mbuti, Australian Aborigines, Inuit in North America. We talked about the Amish. I mentioned them. And remember the Maasai. Okay, so there are traditional people on every continent, except for, of course, Antarctica. Maybe there's some traditional penguins down there. Okay, then you had to fill these boxes out here, and I hope that you did a good job looking at those advantages and disadvantages. In class, I did add, I think in 4 and 5 classes, maybe my block 2 I didn't. So block 2, listen up. I added an advantage of that these economies, these societies have a strong sense of community, that people work together, they take care of each other, they share resources. It's a very strong advantage. It's not like that in other economies. Okay? That wraps this one up.